Welcome back to another peaceful evening together, where we let stories wash over us like warm summer rain. Tonight, we're returning to one of cinema's most beloved celebrations of childhood friendship, The Sandlot, from 1993. This is a story that understands the sacred nature of summer vacation, the unbreakable bonds formed on dusty baseball diamonds, and the way certain friendships can shape who we become for the rest of our lives. As we settle in together, we're traveling back to the summer of 1962, to a small neighborhood where 9 boys discovered that baseball wasn't just a game. It was magic, pure and simple. The film was lovingly created by someone who understood that childhood summers stretch like endless golden afternoons, filled with possibility and the kind of adventure that lives forever in our hearts. Let's take our time in this sun-drenched world, where every day feels infinite and friendship is the most powerful force in the universe. We'll follow young Scotty Smalls as he discovers not just how to play baseball, but how to belong, how to be brave, and how to find his place in a group of boys who will become his lifelong brotherhood. The magic begins on a morning that feels like every perfect summer morning that has ever existed. The air is crisp with that special coolness that comes just before the heat of the day, when dew still sparkles on grass like scattered diamonds and the world feels fresh and full of possibility. This is the kind of morning that promises adventure, the kind that exists in the space between sleeping and waking, where dreams feel real and reality feels like dreams. Our story opens in the warm embrace of a perfect suburban neighborhood, where tree-lined streets stretch toward horizons that seem to hold infinite promise. The year is 1962, and 10-year-old Scott Smalls has just moved to this new place with his mother and stepfather. Everything here is different from what he's known before. The houses seem friendlier, the streets safer, the very air filled with a kind of gentle possibility that speaks to new beginnings and fresh starts. The camera takes us slowly through these peaceful streets, where sprinklers create tiny rainbows on emerald lawns, where the air shimmers with heat and endless possibility. Children's bicycles lean against white picket fences, screen doors stand open to catch whatever breeze might stir, and somewhere in the distance, we can hear the faint but unmistakable sound of baseball, the gentle thud of ball meeting glove, the sweet crack of bat connecting with leather, the musical laughter of boys at play. Scotty is a quiet, thoughtful boy who carries books instead of baseball gloves, who knows about important things like literature and science, but hasn't yet discovered the particular magic that lives between first base and home plate. He's the kind of child who finds wonder in words and numbers, who sees the world through the lens of stories he's read and facts he's learned, but who hasn't yet learned the language that children speak to each other in the sacred spaces of play. We watch him from his bedroom window as he observes a group of boys his age who gather every morning at a sandlot just beyond his backyard fence. Their laughter carries on the summer breeze, mixing with the distant crack of a bat and the gentle thud of ball meeting glove, in a symphony that speaks to something primal and beautiful about childhood and joy, and the simple pleasure of being alive on a perfect summer day. From his perch at the window, Scotty studies these boys with the careful attention of someone trying to decode a foreign language. There's something magical about the way they move together, the way they seem to speak a language he doesn't quite understand yet. They arrive each morning like priests to their temple, carrying gloves worn soft with use and dreams worn bright with hope, gathering for rituals that seem both ancient and eternal. The Sandlot itself is a character in our story, a humble patch of dirt and grass that transforms each day into a cathedral of childhood dreams. The infield is worn smooth by countless sneakers. The pitcher's mound is a small hill of packed earth that rises from the dust like an altar, and the outfield stretches toward a weathered wooden fence that might as well mark the edge of the known world. This isn't a manicured baseball diamond with painted lines and professional dimensions. This is something far more precious, a place shaped by love and use and the countless hours that children have spent here pursuing the perfect game, the perfect catch, the perfect moment when everything comes together in a harmony that speaks to the deepest truths about joy and friendship and the magic that exists in simple things. The fence that borders the outfield stands like a boundary between their world of innocence and play and something darker, more mysterious. Beyond it lies a junkyard, a realm of shadows and legend where, according to whispered stories, something terrible waits. But for now, in these perfect morning moments, the fence is simply part of their landscape, a distant concern that adds just enough edge to their paradise to make it feel real and precious. From his window, Scotty watches these boys with a mixture of longing and uncertainty that anyone who has ever been new, ever been different, ever been outside looking in, will recognize immediately. There's something in their easy camaraderie, their natural flow of movement and conversation, that speaks to a kind of belonging he's never experienced, but desperately wants to understand. His stepfather, Bill, notices Scotty's isolation with the patient concern of a man learning to be a father to someone else's child. Bill understands the delicate nature of his position. He wants to help, wants to guide, wants to be a source of strength and wisdom. But he also knows that some things can't be forced, can't be rushed, can only unfold in their own time and their own way. Bill works for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and baseball runs through his veins like sunlight through summer leaves. He understands the game not just as entertainment or profession, but as something deeper, a connection to tradition, to community, to the part of the human spirit that finds joy in simple excellence and shared endeavor. He sees in Scotty a boy who could discover in baseball not just a game, but a way of belonging to something larger than himself. One evening, as crickets begin their gentle chorus and the last light of day paints everything golden, Bill sits with Scotty on their back porch and makes a suggestion with infinite kindness and patience. Perhaps, he says, it's time to learn the beautiful game that has captured America's heart. Perhaps it's time to discover what those boys in the Sandlot know that makes them laugh with such joy, move with such confidence, belong to each other with such obvious affection. The conversation unfolds slowly, gently, like a flower opening to receive morning light. Bill doesn't push or demand or insist. Instead, he shares stories about baseball's magic, about the way the game creates connections between strangers, about the particular joy that comes from being part of a team, part of something that's bigger and more important than any individual player. He tells Scotty about the crack of the bat on a perfect summer evening, about the satisfying pop of a well-caught ball, about the way a perfectly executed play can feel like poetry in motion. But more than that, he talks about friendship, about the bonds that form between teammates, about the way shared challenges and victories create relationships that can last a lifetime. What follows is one of cinema's most tender sequences. A stepfather teaching his stepson to play catch in their backyard as the day slowly fades to golden hour and then to purple dusk. Bill's patience is endless as he shows Scotty how to hold a glove, how to keep his eye on the ball, how to throw with his whole body rather than just his arm. Each lesson is delivered with gentle encouragement, each mistake met with understanding rather than frustration. The camera lingers on these quiet moments of learning, the way understanding passes between them like a gentle current flowing from teacher to student. Each successful catch is a small victory, celebrated with quiet pride. Each wild throw an opportunity for encouragement rather than criticism. We can feel the bond between them growing stronger with each toss, each shared smile, each moment of patient instruction that speaks to the deeper lessons about trust and care, and the way love can be expressed through the simple act of sharing knowledge. Bill explains that baseball isn't just about winning or losing. It's about being part of something larger than yourself, about learning to trust your teammates and having them trust you in return. It's about discovering that individual excellence means nothing without the support of others, that the greatest victories are always shared victories, that the most important lessons aren't about technique, but about character. As the sky deepens to purple and the first stars appear like distant promises, Scotty begins to understand that his stepfather is offering him more than just baseball lessons. He's offering him a way to belong, a path toward the kind of friendship and acceptance he's been watching from his window, a chance to become part of something beautiful and meaningful and lasting. The glove feels strange on his hand at first, foreign and awkward, like all new things do before they become familiar. But gradually, as the evening wears on and the throws become more accurate and the catches more confident, it begins to feel like it belongs there, like it's always been meant to be there, like he's been waiting his whole life to discover this simple pleasure of throwing and catching and sharing the quiet joy of a game played between two people who care about each other. When they finally head inside, called by the gentle voice of Scotty's mother announcing that dinner is ready, they carry with them the satisfaction of time well spent, of connections made, of foundations laid for something that might, with patience and practice and a little bit of courage, grow into something wonderful. The next morning arrives wrapped in golden light and infinite possibility, carrying with it all the promise that perfect summer days seem to hold effortlessly. Scotty wakes with a strange new feeling, not quite confidence, but something approaching it, a sense that today might be different from all the days that came before it. He has his new glove, his newly discovered basic skills, and most importantly, his newly awakened courage to step beyond the familiar boundaries of his previous existence. He takes his glove and approaches the Sandlot, where the boys are already deep in their morning ritual, already beginning the day's games, with the casual excellence that speaks to hours and days and weeks of shared practice. He stands at the edge of their world, nervous but determined, carrying his glove like a passport to a country he desperately wants to visit but isn't sure will welcome him. The boys of the Sandlot are a collection of personalities that fit together like pieces of a perfect puzzle, each one bringing something essential to their whole. There's Benny Rodriguez, their natural leader, whose love for baseball shines from him like sunlight caught in crystal. Benny moves with the grace of someone who understands the poetry hidden in every play, every swing, every steal of home. He's the kind of person others naturally follow, not because he demands leadership, but because he earns it through his combination of skill, kindness, and genuine care for everyone around him. Ham Porter serves as their catcher, round and jolly, whose running commentary provides a soundtrack of good-natured teasing and unwavering loyalty. Ham understands that laughter is one of friendship's most important tools, that the ability to joke with someone is really a way of saying you trust them enough to be vulnerable around them. You care about them enough to want to make them smile. Yeah moves through their world with his characteristic verbal repetition, a pattern that might seem odd to outsiders, but makes perfect sense within their accepting circle. His doublespeak becomes a kind of rhythm that underlies their conversations, a familiar beat that speaks to the comfort of predictability within the chaos of childhood energy and emotion. Squints peers at the world through thick glasses that magnify both his vision and his wisdom about things that go far beyond baseball. He's the thinker of their group, the one who notices details others miss, who remembers important things, who provides the kind of steady intelligence that keeps their adventures from turning into disasters. De Nunez is quiet but reliable, the kind of friend who shows up every day without fail, who does what needs to be done without seeking recognition or praise. His presence is like a foundation stone, not flashy or obvious, but absolutely essential to the stability of everything built on top of it. Timmy and Tommy are brothers who share not just genes, but an unshakable bond that runs deeper than blood. They demonstrate what it looks like when two people know each other so completely that they can communicate in glances, can anticipate each other's needs, can function as a unit while still maintaining their individual identities. Repeat is the youngest and smallest, eager to prove himself worthy of their acceptance, determined to show that size and age have nothing to do with heart or courage, or the ability to contribute something meaningful to their shared endeavor. His enthusiasm never flags. His willingness to try never diminishes. His joy in simply being included never wavers. And finally, there's Bertram, mysterious and loyal, content to be part of something beautiful without needing to be at its center. He appears when he's needed, contributes what he can, and vanishes back into his own private world without drama or explanation, teaching everyone around him that friendship can accommodate all kinds of personalities and approaches to being in the world. When Scotty approaches them, his nervousness is palpable but touching. These boys have been playing together for so long that they move like one organism, anticipating each other's thoughts and actions, with the kind of intuitive understanding that comes from countless hours of shared experience. The newcomer disrupts their rhythm, but instead of resentment, there's curiosity. Instead of exclusion, there's possibility. Benny, with the wisdom of a true leader, sees something in Scotty that even Scotty doesn't see yet. He recognizes the desire to belong, the willingness to try, the fundamental decency that marks someone worth knowing. More importantly, he remembers what it felt like to be new, to be uncertain, to desperately want to fit in somewhere, and his empathy guides his response. The introduction is awkward at first, as these things always are. Scotty doesn't know the unspoken rules that govern their interactions, doesn't understand the casual insults that are actually expressions of affection, doesn't grasp that being chosen last isn't rejection, but simply the natural order of things that will change over time as skills develop and relationships deepen. But there's something in his earnestness, his genuine desire to belong, that touches these boys who understand what it means to be outsiders in their own way. They've all faced moments of uncertainty, periods of not fitting in, times when belonging seemed impossible. They recognize in Scotty's nervousness their own past struggles, and this recognition creates the foundation for acceptance. Benny takes Scotty under his wing with the natural grace of someone who remembers what it felt like to need guidance, to require patience, to deserve a chance to prove himself. He shows Scotty where to stand, how to hold his glove, how to anticipate where the ball might go. More importantly, he demonstrates through his actions that mistakes are just part of learning, that laughter can heal embarrassment, and that everyone deserves an opportunity to discover what they're capable of. The first few games are exercises in patience and understanding that reveal the true character of everyone involved. Scotty strikes out repeatedly, drops easy catches, throws the ball in entirely wrong directions. But instead of ridicule, he finds encouragement. Instead of exclusion, he discovers acceptance. These boys understand, with the intuitive wisdom that children sometimes possess, that summer is long enough for everyone to find their place, to grow into who they're meant to be. We witness these small moments of grace that define true friendship and separate genuine connection from mere proximity. When Scotty misses an easy pop fly, Ham doesn't groan in frustration. Instead, he jogs over and shows him how to position his glove, how to judge the arc of the ball against the endless blue sky. When Scotty's throw goes wild and rolls toward the street, Yeah chases it down without complaint, returning it with a gentle toss and an encouraging nod that speaks volumes about the kind of person he is beneath his quirky verbal patterns. There's something profound in the way these boys create space for growth, for mistakes, for the awkward process of becoming. They remember perhaps their own first days on this sacred ground, their own fumbled catches and wild swings. Or maybe they simply understand, with the intuitive wisdom that marks the best of childhood, that kindness multiplies while cruelty divides, that building someone up costs nothing, while tearing them down impoverishes everyone involved. The rituals of their friendship begin to include Scotty naturally, organically, like a river finding its way around a new stone in its bed. He learns the elaborate handshakes that serve as both greeting and blessing, the casual insults that actually mean affection, the comfortable silences that speak to deep understanding. He discovers which position feels most comfortable, where his particular talents might flourish, how to be useful without being in the way. He begins to anticipate the subtle signals that govern their play, when to steal a base, when to sacrifice a hit, when to simply enjoy the pure pleasure of a well-hit ball sailing through summer air. These lessons come not through formal instruction, but through observation and participation, through the gradual absorption of knowledge that happens when someone is truly welcomed into a community. As the days drift by in a haze of golden heat and endless baseball, we watch Scotty slowly transform from observer to participant to genuine member of their brotherhood. His throws become more accurate, his catches more confident, his understanding of the game's rhythms more intuitive. More importantly, he begins to understand the deeper rhythms of friendship, the way these boys communicate through shared glances and inside jokes, the way they defend each other against the world outside their sanctuary. Each morning brings new lessons, wrapped in the comfortable routine of their gathering. They arrive at different times, but always end up together, drawn by an invisible force stronger than gravity toward this sacred space that belongs to them completely. Some bring snacks wrapped in brown paper bags, sharing crackers and warm soda with the generosity that comes naturally to those who have enough love to spare. Others bring stories from home, news of a new glove broken in with careful attention, reports of professional games heard on the radio, dreams of playing in stadiums where crowds cheer and lights shine bright against the night sky. The Sandlot itself seems to respond to their presence, becoming more beautiful and more meaningful with each passing day. The dust settles into perfect base paths, worn smooth by their passage. The pitcher's mound gains character and personality, shaped by countless feet into something that feels sacred and eternal. Even the weeds around the edges seem to grow in respectful patterns, framing their cathedral without intruding upon its holy ground. The rhythm of their days follows a beautiful pattern that speaks to the eternal nature of childhood summer and the way certain experiences exist outside of ordinary time. They gather as the dew still sparkles on the grass, when the air holds that perfect coolness that promises heat to come, but hasn't yet delivered on that promise. The first hour belongs to practice, gentle tosses that warm up arms and spirits, easy grounders that wake up reflexes dulled by sleep, the satisfying pop of ball meeting well-oiled glove, in a sound that speaks to preparation and possibility. As the sun climbs higher and the heat begins to shimmer off the dusty infield like visible music, they move into their games proper. These aren't the structured competitions of organized sports, with their rules and regulations and watchful adult eyes measuring every move against some external standard. These are games born of pure joy, where the score matters less than the perfect crack of bat against ball, where a spectacular catch draws cheers regardless of which team benefits, where the true victory lies in the shared experience of excellence achieved together. We watch Scotty find his place in this organic system, discovering that his careful, methodical nature makes him an excellent first baseman, patient and reliable, the foundation upon which their infield builds its confidence. He learns to stretch for difficult throws, to judge when to stay planted and when to move, to be the steady presence his teammates can count on when the game hangs in the balance and decisions must be made quickly and correctly. But beyond the mechanics of baseball, something deeper happens in this sun-drenched space that transforms mere play into something approaching ritual. Scotty learns the language of boyhood friendship, the gentle insults that actually mean affection, the silences that speak volumes, the way true friends can disagree about everything except the importance of their bond. He discovers that belonging isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, showing up day after day with an open heart and willing spirit, contributing what you can and accepting what others offer in return. The long afternoons stretch like golden taffy, sweet and warm and seemingly endless, filled with a particular magic that exists only in childhood summers, when time moves differently and every day feels like a gift. When the heat becomes too intense for active play, they retreat to whatever shade they can find, under the small tree in foul territory, in the shadow of the fence, sprawled on the grass with their gloves as pillows and their caps pulled low over their eyes to block out the sun's intensity. These quiet interludes become some of their most precious times together, moments when the boundaries between individual personalities dissolve and they become simply a group of friends sharing the comfortable silence of people who know they belong together. Ham regales them with elaborate stories that grow more impossible with each telling, tales of legendary players and impossible catches and games that transcended the ordinary boundaries of sport to become something approaching myth. Squints shares observations about the world that seem far too wise for someone his age, insights into human nature and the way things work that reveal depths of understanding hidden beneath his quiet exterior. The Timmins brothers engage in their familiar verbal dance, a back and forth that speaks to the deep comfort of sibling understanding and the way some relationships are so fundamental that they require no explanation or justification. And slowly, gradually, Scotty adds his own voice to their chorus, finding that his different perspective enriches rather than disrupts their harmony. His bookish knowledge proves useful in unexpected ways. He can settle arguments about statistics, provide historical context for their discussions, offer insights drawn from reading that complement the practical wisdom gained through experience. The Sandlot becomes Scotty's second home, a place where he can shed his bookish uncertainty and discover a different kind of intelligence, the intelligence of the heart, of instinct, of belonging, that goes beyond any individual skill or ability. Each morning, he wakes with anticipation that has nothing to do with achievement or competition, and everything to do with the simple joy of knowing that another day of friendship and baseball awaits him just beyond his backyard fence. Meanwhile, Scotty continues to grow not just as a player, but as a member of their brotherhood in ways that go far beyond the mechanical skills of throwing and catching and hitting. He learns Ham's elaborate insult rituals, understanding that each creative put-down is actually a form of affection, a way of saying, "You belong here enough for me to tease you. You matter enough for me to invest energy in making you laugh." He begins to anticipate Ye's verbal patterns, finding comfort in the predictable repetition that somehow makes their chaotic world feel more stable and secure. What might seem like simple repetition to an outsider reveals itself as a kind of rhythm that underlies their group dynamic, a familiar beat that provides continuity and comfort in the midst of childhood's constant change. Squints becomes an unexpected mentor, sharing observations about the game that go far beyond the mechanics of hitting and catching and fielding. He teaches Scotty to read the subtle signs that predict how a day's games will unfold. The way morning shadows fall across the infield, the direction of the wind, the mood that settles over their group like weather that can be felt but not always explained. These lessons come wrapped in casual conversation, delivered with the offhand wisdom that children sometimes possess without knowing they possess it. They're not formal instruction, but natural sharing. The way knowledge passes between friends who care enough about each other to notice important things and generous enough to pass them along. The Timmins brothers show Scotty what it means to have someone always in your corner, the way they support each other through triumphs and defeats, with unwavering loyalty that never needs to be declared or explained. Their bond becomes a model for what friendship can look like when it's built on something deeper than convenience or proximity, when it's built on genuine care and understanding that transcends individual differences. De Nunez, quiet and steady, demonstrates the power of reliable presence through his actions rather than his words. He shows up every day without fanfare, plays his position with quiet competence, offers encouragement when it's needed, and silence when that's what the moment calls for. From him, Scotty learns that not every friendship requires constant conversation or dramatic gestures. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is simply being there, consistently and without condition. Bertram remains mysterious, but his mystery becomes part of the group's charm, rather than a source of exclusion or concern. He appears when he's supposed to appear, contributes what needs to be contributed, and vanishes back into his own private world without explanation or apology. His presence teaches Scotty that friendship can accommodate all kinds of personalities, all kinds of needs, all kinds of ways of being in the world without requiring everyone to be the same. Young Repeat, the smallest and youngest of their group, shows Scotty what it means to persist in the face of obvious disadvantages. He's not the strongest or the fastest or the most skilled, but his enthusiasm never flags. His willingness to try never diminishes. His joy in simply being included never wavers. Watching Repeat struggle and succeed and struggle again, Scotty learns that courage isn't the absence of fear or uncertainty. It's the decision to keep showing up despite those feelings. But it's Benny who becomes Scotty's truest guide into this world of friendship and baseball and summer magic. Benny possesses that rare quality of natural leadership that doesn't need to assert itself, doesn't need to demand recognition or respect, because it earns both through consistent demonstration of character and competence. He leads by example, by treating everyone with the same generous spirit, by seeing potential where others might see only problems. Under Benny's patient guidance, Scotty discovers talents he never knew he possessed and learns to value abilities he never knew mattered. His careful, methodical nature, which once made him feel like an outsider in the quick-moving world of childhood, becomes an asset on the baseball field. He learns to study opposing batters, to position himself perfectly for the plays that are most likely to come his way, to be the steady foundation upon which more flashy displays of skill can safely build. More importantly, Benny teaches Scotty about the responsibility that comes with belonging to something larger than yourself. It's not enough to simply show up and participate. True membership requires investment, care, a willingness to put the group's needs alongside your own, without losing sight of your individual contribution. This lesson comes not through lectures or demands, but through observation, through watching the way Benny naturally considers everyone's feelings, everyone's abilities, everyone's need to contribute something meaningful to their shared endeavor. But every paradise has its shadows, and the Sandlot's shadow comes in the form of a legend whispered in hushed tones during their quiet moments. The legend of the beast. Beyond the Sandlot's outfield fence lies a junkyard, and in that junkyard, according to neighborhood law, passed down through generations of children, lives a creature of terrifying proportions. The beast has swallowed countless baseballs that dared to venture beyond the fence, and no boy has ever been brave enough or foolish enough to attempt retrieval. The legend of the beast has grown over the years, passed down from older brothers to younger siblings, from departing seasons to arriving ones, each telling adding new details to the mythology while preserving the essential truth that lies at its heart. Some say the beast weighs 500 pounds and has fangs like railroad spikes that can bite through steel. Others insist it's even larger, with eyes that glow like burning coals in the darkness and a bark that can shatter windows 3 blocks away. The boys speak of the beast in the way children speak of monsters under the bed, with delicious terror and absolute certainty, with the kind of fearful fascination that makes scary stories both terrifying and irresistible. They've all heard the stories passed down from older brothers and neighborhood kids, tales that grow more elaborate and frightening with each retelling while maintaining their essential power to inspire both dread and excitement. The beast has become part of their shared mythology, a presence so powerful that it shapes their play even when they're not thinking about it directly. Every deep fly ball carries with it the possibility of loss. Every powerful hit includes in its potential the chance that this might be the one that goes too far, travels beyond their ability to retrieve it, disappears forever into the realm of legend and nightmare. The fence itself tells the story of the beast's reign of terror over their small world. Baseballs hang trapped in its chain links like grim trophies, each one representing a game cut short, a perfect day interrupted by the terrible reality of what lies beyond their sanctuary. Some are old and weathered, turned grey by seasons of sun and rain, their leather cracked and their stitching loose from exposure to the elements. Others are newer, their white surfaces still bright enough to reflect the sun and remind the boys of their mortality, of the price of carelessness in their pursuit of excellence. During their quiet moments, when the heat has driven them to rest in whatever shade they can find, the boys sometimes share beast sightings, shadows glimpsed through the fence slats, sounds heard in the deep of night, evidence of the creature's movements found in disturbed trash and scattered debris. These stories are told in whispers, as if speaking too loudly might summon the beast's attention, might remind it that a fresh supply of young ball players gathers just beyond its domain each day. The fence that separates the Sandlot from the junkyard might as well be the wall between two different worlds, the world of childhood joy and the world of primal fear. On their side, there's laughter and friendship and the smell of summer grass baking in the afternoon sun, the comfortable sounds of children at play, the gentle rhythm of a game that connects them to something larger and more beautiful than themselves. On the other side, there's mystery and danger and the unknown, a realm where normal rules don't apply and childhood bravery meets its match in forces beyond understanding or control. Yet somehow, the presence of the beast adds something essential to their games, an edge of excitement that makes every deep fly ball an adventure, every powerful swing a test of both skill and fortune. Will it clear the fence? Will they lose another ball to the creature's insatiable appetite? The possibility of loss makes every successful catch more precious, every game that ends with their ball still in play, a small victory against the forces of darkness that wait beyond their sanctuary. For most of the summer, the fence serves its purpose perfectly, maintaining the boundary between their world and the realm of legend. Fly balls are caught before they reach it. Grounders are stopped in the infield, and their games proceed in blissful ignorance of what lies beyond. The boys play their game's content in their sanctuary of friendship and baseball and endless summer afternoons, protected by invisible barriers that seem as strong as the physical fence that marks the edge of their domain. But the beast waits with the patience of a predator, knowing that eventually, inevitably, their careful boundaries will be crossed. Somewhere in the depths of the junkyard, it bides its time, understanding that summer days and childhood games have a way of pushing limits, of testing boundaries, of creating situations where the impossible becomes inevitable and legends step out of whispered stories to become terrifying reality. The turning point comes on a day that starts like any other, with the sun climbing high and the boys gathering for another game in their cathedral of dirt and dreams. The morning air carries that perfect combination of coolness and warmth that promises another ideal day for baseball, another chapter in their ongoing summer story. They've developed routines by now, comfortable patterns that speak to the deep security of belonging to something stable and good. Ham arrives first, as he often does, his catcher's gear already strapped on, and his commentary already flowing in an unbroken stream of good-natured observations about everything and nothing. Yeah, follows close behind, his familiar verbal patterns providing a comforting soundtrack to their preparation. The others drift in gradually, each adding their own voice to the growing symphony of friendship and anticipation that marks the beginning of each perfect day. They begin with their usual warm-up rituals, the gentle tosses and easy catches that prepare both body and spirit for the more serious play to come. There's something almost ceremonial about these opening moments, a sense that they're not just preparing for a game, but consecrating their sacred space, renewing their bonds with each other and with the timeless magic of baseball itself. But on this particular day, something feels different from the very beginning. A subtle shift in the atmosphere that speaks to change approaching like weather on the horizon. Their usual ball, worn smooth by countless games and precious beyond measure, not for its monetary value, but for its role in their shared story, shows signs of the strain it's been under all summer long. The leather has begun to crack in places where repeated impacts have weakened its structure. The stitches have loosened from the constant stress of throwing and catching, and the perfect roundness that makes flight possible has started to give way to a subtle irregularity that affects how it moves through the air. They try to ignore these warning signs at first, adjusting their throws to compensate for the ball's changing behavior, making excuses for the way it doesn't quite feel right in their hands anymore. But denial can only last so long when confronted with reality, and reality has a way of asserting itself at the most inconvenient moments, when we're least prepared to deal with consequences we've been trying to avoid. The fatal moment comes during what should have been a routine play, a simple grounder that Ham fields cleanly and throws to first base with his usual competent authority. But as the ball leaves his hand, traveling through summer air towards Scotty's waiting glove, the accumulated stress of an entire summer's worth of use finally overwhelms the worn leather and tired stitches. The ball doesn't just land badly or roll away. It literally comes apart in mid-flight, splitting open like a piece of ripe fruit and spilling its contents across the dusty infield in a moment that transforms their perfect day into something else entirely. The silence that follows is profound and heartbreaking, deeper than any quiet moment they've shared before. This isn't the comfortable silence of friends resting together, or the focused quiet of intense play. This is the silence of ending, of loss, of something precious being taken away without warning or preparation. Without a ball, there can be no game. Without a game, there can be no summer magic. Without their summer magic, they're just 9 boys standing in a vacant lot, stripped of the thing that gives their gathering meaning and purpose. They stand frozen in their tragedy, each understanding in his own way that something essential has been lost, something that can't be easily replaced or quickly restored. The scattered pieces of their ball lie around them like the remnants of a shattered dream. Each fragment a reminder of all the perfect moments that brought them to this point of ending. All the games that will now go unplayed. All the memories that will now remain uncreated. It's in this moment of desperation that Scotty remembers something that might save their summer, might restore their magic, might prove his worth to these boys who have accepted him so completely. His stepfather has a baseball, a special one, sitting in his study at home. In his eagerness to help, to prove his value to this brotherhood that has become the center of his world, Scotty volunteers to retrieve it. The others are grateful but distracted by their loss, not thinking to ask about this mysterious ball or why it might be special, why it sits in a study rather than a closet, why it's been preserved rather than used. Scotty's journey home feels longer than usual, weighted with the responsibility of saving their summer and the nervous energy of someone about to cross a line he doesn't fully understand. Every step carries him further from his friend's disappointment and closer to what he hopes will be their salvation, but also deeper into territory where childhood innocence meets adult complexity in ways that can't be predicted or controlled. The house seems different somehow when he enters it, more formal, more adult, more filled with consequences than the comfortable home he left that morning full of anticipation for another perfect day. The familiar rooms feel larger and more serious, as if they're aware of the weight of what he's about to do and are trying to warn him without being able to speak the words that might change his mind. The study where the ball waits is his stepfather's private sanctuary, a place that smells of leather and old books and the kind of serious adult concerns that usually exist far outside Scotty's world. The walls are lined with memorabilia that speaks to a lifetime's devotion to the game they all love. Photographs of legendary players, programs from historic games, trophies and awards that mark moments of achievement and recognition. The baseball sits in a place of honor among these treasures, displayed like a piece of art or a religious relic, surrounded by other items that collectively tell the story of baseball's rich history and Bill's personal connection to that history. It rests on a small wooden stand that elevates it above the ordinary level of everyday objects, marking it as something special, something significant, something that deserves reverence and careful handling. For a moment, Scotty hesitates at the threshold of this adult world, sensing that something about the way the ball is positioned, the care with which it's been preserved, the reverence implicit in its display, suggests that this isn't just any baseball. But the memory of his friends' devastated faces pushes aside his uncertainty. They need a ball. This is a ball. The equation seems simple enough for someone whose understanding of the adult world remains beautifully, dangerously incomplete. He takes the ball with hands that shake slightly, not from fear of being caught, but from the weight of responsibility he feels toward the boys who have become his brothers. This baseball will save their summer, will restore their magic, will prove that he deserves the friendship they've so generously offered. It feels heavier than their old ball, more substantial somehow, as if it contains within its perfect roundness possibilities they've never imagined. The return journey feels different, charged with hope and anticipation, rather than desperation. He carries the ball carefully, protectively, like someone entrusted with something precious beyond measure, which, though he doesn't know it yet, is exactly what he is. The weight of it in his hands speaks to importance he can sense, but not fully understand, significance that goes beyond the simple mechanics of their childhood games. Scotty returns from his house carrying what appears to be salvation, a pristine white baseball that gleams in the summer sunlight like a perfect sphere of possibility. The contrast between this immaculate sphere and the scattered remains of their old companion is almost shocking. Where their previous ball was worn and stained and comfortable with age, marked by countless games and bearing the gentle scars of their summer together, this new one looks as if it's never been touched by human hands, never been scuffed by contact with bat or glove or the rough embrace of the earth. The boys' faces light up with relief and joy that's almost painful to witness in its intensity. Their summer can continue, their magic can be restored, their world can remain intact. They gather around Scotty and his miraculous offering like pilgrims around a holy relic, their voices rising in a chorus of gratitude and renewed excitement that speaks to their deep understanding of what they almost lost and their profound appreciation for what has been restored to them. But even in their relief, some of them notice that this ball is different from their old, beloved companion in ways that go beyond its pristine appearance. It feels different in their hands, denser, more perfectly balanced, somehow more serious than the casual sphere they've grown accustomed to. The leather is unmarked by the gentle scars that speak to a ball's history. The stitches are so perfectly aligned, they seem to have been sewn by angels, and the overall presence of the thing suggests origins far more exalted than the sporting goods store where most baseballs begin their humble lives. But this ball is different from their old, worn companion in ways that become apparent as soon as they begin to use it. This ball flies differently when hit, carrying farther and truer than any baseball they've ever experienced. It sounds different against the bat, producing a sharp crack that seems to echo with authority and power, as if the very air recognizes its quality and responds accordingly. It feels different in their hands when they catch it, substantial and important in ways that their old ball, for all its sentimental value, never quite achieved. Unknown to them, and certainly unknown to Scotty in his innocent desire to help, this baseball carries with it a weight of history and significance that no child could comprehend. This isn't just any baseball. It's a piece of sporting immortality, a connection to legends that transcend the simple pleasure of children playing in a vacant lot. But in this moment, to these boys, it's simply the thing that allows their summer to continue, the magic key that unlocks another day of friendship and games, an endless possibility. They approach their first game with this new ball, with a reverence that speaks to their understanding that something significant has changed, even if they can't quite articulate what that change means. The ball seems to demand a higher level of play from them, as if its perfection calls forth their own best efforts. Their throws are more accurate, their swings more confident, their fielding more precise. It's as if the ball itself is teaching them to be better players, better friends, better versions of themselves. The game that follows is perhaps the finest they've ever played together, a display of skill and teamwork that transcends their previous achievements and approaches something like art. Every hit seems perfectly placed, every catch perfectly timed, every throw perfectly weighted. The ball moves through the air with a kind of graceful authority that makes even their most difficult plays look effortless, as if the laws of physics have been temporarily suspended to allow for a demonstration of pure baseball perfection. Ham's at-bats become exhibitions of power and precision that surprise even him. The ball seems to jump off his bat with unusual velocity, sailing through the summer air with a confidence that speaks to possibilities none of them have dared to imagine. Each swing produces results that go beyond his normal capabilities, as if the ball's excellence is drawing out excellence from everyone who touches it. Yeah, makes catches that seem to defy both gravity and reasonable expectation, the ball settling into his glove as if drawn there by magnetic force rather than mere skill and positioning. His usual competence transforms into something approaching magical, each defensive play a small masterpiece of timing and coordination. Squints demonstrates fielding skills that reveal depths of athletic ability he's never shown before, moving with a fluid grace that transforms his careful, methodical approach into something approaching poetry. The ball responds to his intentions as if it can read his mind, bouncing perfectly into his waiting hands even when the play seems impossible. The Timmons brothers coordinate their play with an almost telepathic understanding, the ball flowing between them as if it's following a predetermined script written by baseball gods. Their natural sibling connection amplifies the ball's properties, creating plays that are beautiful to watch and seemingly effortless to execute. Benny, their natural leader and most gifted player, seems to achieve a new level of excellence entirely. His movements become more economical and yet more effective, his decisions more instinctive and yet more strategic. He plays as if the ball is an extension of his own will, responding to his intentions before he's fully formed them himself. Even Repeat, usually the weakest link in their carefully balanced team, finds his play elevated by the ball's mysterious properties. His throws reach their targets with unprecedented accuracy. His swings connect with satisfying authority. His fielding displays a confidence that speaks to the transformative power of truly superior equipment in the hands of someone eager to prove himself worthy. And Scotty, the newest member of their brotherhood, the one who provided this miraculous salvation, finds himself playing the best baseball of his life. The first baseman's position, which he's grown to love for its combination of importance and reliability, becomes a stage for displays of skill that surprise everyone, including himself. The ball seems to seek out his glove on difficult throws, to cooperate with his efforts in ways that make success feel inevitable rather than hoped for. They play with abandon, their joy restored, their world complete once again. The sun climbs higher, the shadows grow shorter, and everything feels right. in their small corner of the universe. This is baseball as it was meant to be played, with perfect equipment, perfect weather, perfect friendship, and the kind of innocent enthusiasm that makes even the smallest victories feel monumental. But fate, as we know, has a way of testing even the strongest friendships, and this perfect day is about to become something else entirely. The moment arrives like destiny wrapped in summer heat and childhood confidence. Ham steps up to the plate with his usual swagger. But there's something different about his stance today, something that suggests he senses the potential that lies coiled within this perfect baseball, waiting for the perfect swing to release it. The bat feels perfectly balanced in his hands, the weight distributed in a way that makes powerful swings feel effortless and natural. He takes his practice swings with unusual care, as if he understands that this moment carries with it possibilities that go beyond their normal games, beyond their usual achievements, beyond anything they've experienced before. The pitch comes across the plate with the kind of precision that speaks to the elevated level of play this special ball has inspired in all of them. It's neither too fast nor too slow, neither too high nor too low. It's the platonic ideal of a pitch, the kind that exists in baseball dreams, and very rarely in baseball reality. The ball seems to hang in the air for a moment, suspended in time and possibility, waiting for Ham to make his decision about what kind of moment this will become. Ham connects with a sound like thunder rolling across summer skies, but this isn't the usual crack of bat meeting ball that they've grown accustomed to. This is something more profound, more resonant, a sound that seems to contain within it all the power and beauty and potential that exists in the perfect marriage of skill and equipment and opportunity. The ball doesn't just leave the bat, it launches itself toward the heavens with the kind of authority that suggests it might never come down. For a moment that stretches like eternity, time seems suspended in the summer heat. The boys watch in awe as the ball arcs high and far, climbing toward the clouds like a white bird seeking the sun. It rises with a grace and power that defies their previous experience, moving through the air with the kind of majestic certainty that makes watchers believe in magic, believe in possibility, believe in the kind of perfection that exists only in the intersection of dreams and reality. The ball reaches its apex and hangs there for what feels like forever, a perfect white sphere suspended against the endless blue sky, beautiful and terrible at the same time. From their vantage point on the ground, it looks like a small star torn loose from its moorings, destined to climb forever toward whatever realm exists beyond the reach of gravity and consequence. But gravity, as always, has the final word. The ball begins its descent, and the boys realize with growing horror where it's going to land. Not in the safe confines of their outfield, not in the familiar territory where such balls can be retrieved with simple effort and casual jogging. This ball, this perfect baseball that has given them their most beautiful day of play, is headed beyond their fence, beyond their safety, beyond their reach. They watch helplessly as their salvation becomes their doom, as the thing that restored their summer threatens to end it forever in a way far more final and terrible than the simple breaking of their old ball. This isn't just the loss of equipment. This is the loss of something precious that belongs to someone else, something that was entrusted to their care without their understanding the true weight of that responsibility. The ball disappears beyond the fence with a soft thud that sounds like the end of everything good and pure in the world. The silence that follows is different from the silence that greeted their broken ball earlier in the day. This isn't the silence of disappointment or frustration. This is the silence of true despair. The silence of children who have suddenly discovered that actions have consequences, that mistakes can be irreversible, that the adult world contains complexities they're not equipped to understand or navigate. But even in this moment of devastating realization, something beautiful happens that speaks to the deepest truths about friendship and loyalty and the bonds that hold people together when the world threatens to fall apart. As the full weight of their crisis settles over them like a shadow, the boys don't scatter to save themselves. They don't abandon Scotty to face his fate alone, don't distance themselves from the boy whose innocent desire to help has led them all into this impossible situation. Instead, they draw closer together, forming a circle of support and solidarity that speaks to the deepest truths about human nature and the way genuine friendship responds to crisis. Their bond strengthens rather than breaks. Their unity deepens rather than dissolves. This is what true friendship means: standing together when the world threatens to fall apart, facing the impossible side by side, choosing loyalty over self-preservation without a moment's hesitation. The weight of what they've lost settles over them gradually, like fog rolling in from some distant, colder place. This isn't just about baseball anymore, though baseball remains at the heart of their concern. This is about trust violated, about responsibility failed, about the terrible moment when childhood innocence collides with adult consequences, and neither emerges unscathed. Ham is the first to speak, his voice unusually quiet, but steady with determination that comes from somewhere deeper than his usual jovial confidence. He doesn't blame Scotty or rage at their circumstances or waste time on recriminations that can't change what's already happened. Instead, he simply states what they all understand. They're in this together now, for better or worse. His words carry the weight of someone who has made a decision that can't be unmade, who has chosen loyalty over self-preservation without a moment's hesitation. Ye's response is characteristically brief, but profound in its simplicity. He repeats Ham's sentiment, but the repetition doesn't diminish its power. Instead, it amplifies it, turns it into something approaching a pledge or vow. The others nod their agreement, each understanding that they've just committed themselves to something far beyond their previous experience, something that will test every aspect of their friendship and character. The planning begins immediately, but it's planning born of desperation rather than strategy, driven by loyalty rather than logic. They huddle together in the center of their beloved Sandlot, their voices low and urgent, as they consider options that all seem to lead toward the same impossible conclusion. Someone will have to go beyond the fence, into the domain of the beast, and retrieve what they've lost. As the day wears on and the shadows grow longer, they cycle through elaborate schemes that grow increasingly desperate as the reality of their situation becomes clear. Squints suggests a system of ropes and pulleys that might allow them to retrieve the ball without actually entering the junkyard. Ham proposes creating a distraction that might lure the beast away from their target. The Timmons brothers wonder if they might tunnel under the fence, approaching the ball from an unexpected direction. Each plan has its merits, and each plan has fatal flaws that become apparent as soon as they begin to work out the details. The fence is too high for simple rope systems, the beast too clever for obvious distractions, the ground too hard for practical tunneling. One by one, their elaborate schemes collapse under the weight of reality, leaving them with the truth they've been trying to avoid. There's no easy way, no safe way, no guaranteed way to solve their problem. Night falls over their small neighborhood like a gentle blanket, bringing with it the sounds of crickets and distant traffic and families gathering for dinner. The boys eventually scatter to their homes, but the weight of their shared crisis follows them, binding them together even in separation. Each carries with him the knowledge that tomorrow will bring either triumph or disaster, that their friendship is about to be tested in ways they've never imagined. Morning also brings renewed determination from his friends, a refusal to let him face this alone. They gather at the Sandlot early, before the sun has fully chased away the night's coolness, and their presence is both comforting and heartbreaking. These boys who could easily walk away, who could protect themselves by distancing themselves from his mistake, choose instead to stand with him. It's Benny who finally cuts through their circular arguments with a truth so simple and profound that it silences all debate. The ball must be retrieved not because it's possible, but because it's necessary. Not because they have a good plan, but because some things are worth the risk. Not because they're brave, but because friendship demands courage, even when courage seems impossible. The decision, once made, brings with it a strange kind of peace that settles over their group like morning mist. They spend the day in preparation, not just gathering equipment and plotting strategy, but mentally preparing themselves for what might be their greatest test. They know that after tonight, nothing will ever be quite the same. As evening approaches and the time for action draws near, they sit together in their beloved Sandlot, perhaps for the last time, as the boys they've always been. The setting sun paints everything golden, and in this perfect light, their friendship seems to glow with its own inner fire. The fence that has served as the boundary of their world for so long suddenly seems smaller, less imposing than they remembered. One by one, they help each other over, their movements careful and deliberate. Each boy who crosses leaves the safety of childhood behind and enters a realm where consequences are real and fear has teeth. The junkyard stretches before them like a landscape from another planet, filled with the twisted shadows of abandoned cars and discarded dreams. The ball, when they finally spot it, sits innocently in a small clearing, glowing faintly in the moonlight, like a pearl dropped in a garden of shadows. Benny reaches the ball first, his fingers closing around its familiar weight, and for a moment, it seems like they've accomplished the impossible without sacrifice. Then they hear it, the sound of chains rattling, of massive paws against concrete, of something enormous stirring in the depths of the junkyard. What follows is a chase that transforms terror into something almost transcendent. The boys run not just for their lives, but for their friendship, for their summer, for everything they hold dear. They don't scatter, don't abandon each other. They run together, helping those who stumble, proving that their bond is stronger than fear. The fence appears ahead like salvation itself, and they scramble over with desperation that lends wings to their movements. Behind them, the beast reaches the fence and stops, as if recognizing some invisible boundary. For a moment, boy and beast regard each other, and fear transforms into mutual respect for courage displayed. They return home changed, carrying not just the retrieved ball, but the knowledge that they've faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Their friendship has been tested and found to be unbreakable, eternal. The ball finds its way back to Bill's study, returned with a story that will never be told but will always be remembered. Some secrets are too precious to share with the adult world, too pure to be diminished by explanation. The summer continues, but it's different now, deeper, richer, weighted with the knowledge of what they've accomplished together. They've learned that courage can be found in the most unlikely places, that friendship is the most powerful force in the universe. Years later, when they're grown men with responsibilities that have nothing to do with baseball, they'll remember this summer as the time when they learned what it means to be truly alive, truly connected, truly part of something larger than themselves. The final game of summer arrives with bittersweet quality. They play with intensity born of knowing that endings give meaning to beginnings, that autumn makes every moment of summer more precious. As the sun sets on their last day together, they sit in their beloved Sandlot and watch the light fade. They don't need to speak about what they've shared. It's all there in the comfortable silence, in the way they still fit together despite how much they've grown. The Sandlot will remain, waiting for the next group of children to discover its magic. But for these 9 boys, it will always be more than just a place to play ball. It will be the location where they learned that friendship is the most powerful force in the universe, that courage can be found in the most unlikely places, and that some summers last forever in the chambers of the heart. They say goodbye without saying goodbye, each understanding that what they've built together transcends physical separation, that the bonds forged in dirt and dreams and shared adventures will hold them together no matter where life takes them. As we leave them there in the gathering darkness, still boys, but somehow more than boys, we carry with them the gentle wisdom that some stories never really end. They just pause, waiting to be remembered, to be cherished, to be shared with others who understand the sacred nature of childhood friendship and summer afternoons and the magic that lives in the space between home plate and forever. Sleep comes easily in the wake of such gentle adventure, carrying with it dreams of endless summer days, of friendship that conquers fear, and of the sweet certainty that some bonds are too strong to ever be broken by time or distance, or the inevitable changes that mark the passage from childhood into whatever comes next. Rest now in the warm knowledge that somewhere, in the space between memory and dream, 9 boys are still playing ball in an eternal summer, their laughter echoing across time, their friendship a beacon of light in a world that sometimes forgets the simple magic of belonging, of being part of something beautiful, of knowing that you are loved and accepted exactly as you are. Sweet dreams, gentle listener, and may your own summers be filled with the same magic, the same friendship, the same perfect understanding that some things, the most important things, never really end at all.